How many of you guys have ever been bit by a snake? Alright, so we got one other person other than me. I've been bit hundreds of times. You kind of lose track after you work with so many animals. So I'm going to teach you guys how to start your own breeding facility in an easier way than I did it. I kind of started from the ground up and then bought into a company, which is a lot harder to do because there's not very many reptile breeding facilities that you can just buy into. These are some of the necessities that you're going to need to be able to be a successful breeder. That is caging. I prefer animal plastics caging because you are able to stack the cages on top of each other and have glass sliding doors. It makes for a lot easier access to the animal and easier cleaning. You need snake hooks because when you're working with snakes, you might be getting into venomous. I don't do venomous currently, but I do work with very large constrictors, and they have a very powerful bite, and you will be going to the hospital if that happens. So I use a snake hook to tap the snake to let it know that it is not feeding time, so that they are easy. It's more easy to take them out of their cage. You need a rodent breeder. You need to have a supplier for the demands of your snakes. They eat once a week, and depending on how big your business is and how many animals you have, you're going to have quite a few if you want to turn it into a facility or to become a successful breeder. Currently at Tricked Out Exotics we have about 1,300 snakes at the moment, and it does cost quite a bit of money to feed that many animals. Right now our average bill is about $2,000 a week to be able to feed everything the proper way. And then you're going to need incubators for your eggs because maternal incubation can have good success, but not as good success as if you use an incubator. So when the snake lays, you're going to want to have a vermiculite blend, which is another speech I can give. It basically keeps the moisture in the eggs and the temperature at the exact temp to have more success. You can get an incubator for about $1,500 for a glass sliding door one. We have 4 incubators. We produce on average about 400 to 600 snakes a season. And then how to handle a large constrictor. If you want to breed snakes, you need to know how to handle them properly. When you open the cage, you always want to use a hook. You will never see me just reach into a cage to grab a snake. I've had a few incidents where I have had to go to the hospital for stitches because of not using a hook, and that is my own fault because people think that snakes aren't as intelligent as they actually are. Snakes like a routine. They know when it's feeding time and not feeding time, and the only way you can really tell them that it's not feeding time is by rubbing them with a hook. Because snakes can't actually see it, they see it in like a thermal vision, and your hand temperatures are the same as a wound when you go in to feed, and when they pick up on that heat signature, they want to feed. You want to be able to have the snake freely flow through your hands, because when a snake feels like it's being restrained, it doesn't have any way to defend itself except for either A, bite you, or B, urinate and poop on you. And that is not a very easy smell to get out of your clothes. And you want to be able to properly feed a snake. You guys, I don't know how many of you have been over to see me feed any animals, but I have before done it freehand, which is basically you just grab the rodent by either its tail or its feet, and you let the snake grab it. But when a snake strikes, it is not very accurate, and an average snake has 1/3 of striking range of its body length. So that's quite a bit of range, and they don't just go straight for it. If you ever look at a slow motion snake strike snaking, it's got a bit of a head wobble, and when you have that big of a target on, that big of a shot on a smaller target, your hand can very easily become the target. I highly recommend using feeding tongs because it is not fun trying to get a snake off of your hand or your body when it's wrapped you. Expenses. It is a very, very expensive business to start. So caging for the rack systems for the hatchlings and grow-ups, you can get a 40-tub rack from ARS. It is about $2,665. When I bought into the company, I had to put down a $30,000 payment on just caging for all the animals. So that's a very big chunk of money that you're going to be looking at investing into it. And that's just for the rack. That's without the heat system, thermostats, and humidity guns. To feed 1,300 snakes, like I said earlier, is very expensive. It's about $2,000 a week. If you want to get into a facility that's the size of mine, and I am the second biggest breeder in the state of Wisconsin, Trick Dog is, as of now. We do have a lot of clientele. We get to go all over the country. As a lot of you know, I travel a lot on weekends. And I think it's fun to be able to go to a show and for a few hours and make as much in one show as some people make a year working in one career. Also with that, you have to rent out a facility to become a business. Otherwise, it's technically just a hobby. And when you're renting out a facility, you're going to want it to be a nice facility. You want it to be very well insulated. And your electricity is very expensive because you have to heat all that space up. Each individual cage has heat tape or heat panels. Heat panels are used for the larger constrictors. And incubators, you really want to have a successful breeding season, you need to be able to hatch the eggs, and to be able to hatch the eggs, you really need an incubator.
Out of time, so can you give us one final statement to conclude?
If you want to start your own breeding facility, you better have a lot of money to invest in it.